sure, but I wouldn't ask for more than you. Say rest assured, we were made for this. We were made for this. Call me up before, in forward motion, to still this heart upon all my troubled waters anew. Say rest assured, we were made for this.
Welcome back again with another episode of that Worship Guitar Show. It's great to see everybody tuning in from all different parts of the world. So if you're just joining us, please go ahead and let us know where you are joining us in from. And then I'm going to go ahead and have a look here real quick. So we see Larry Simone is one of our WGS Academy members. Hey Larry, and great to see you from Grays Lake, Illinois. We got John from South Carolina. Good morning and good afternoon on my end. We've got Kenan watching a couple of doors down here from J-Bay, South Africa. Vicky DeMio tuning in from Kentucky. Hey Vicky, great to see you as always. Brian Bilashopka, another one of our members from Indiana, USA. Great to see you. Richard Marshall. Hey Richard, how you doing? And Larry is saying, yes, here we go. Sorry for starting a few minutes late. I just had to go and take care of something real quick, and it took a little bit longer than expected. So I'm back, and we are ready to go. And Richard is letting us know that he's tuning in from Lexington, Kentucky. That's awesome. It's such an amazing opportunity that we have to connect with folks all over the world, and really awesome to be here with you guys today. So as always, I'll do a quick sound check just to make sure that everything is working fine. And then from there onwards, we'll be able to dive into today's lesson, which is all about common mistakes that we as worship guitarists tend to make, along with some suggestions as to how we might solve those. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly play a little bit of a jam track with a little bit of guitar. And then if you guys can just let me know in the comment section if you can hear me and see me all right. So just let me know if you could hear that section with the music as well as the guitar, because we're going to be doing some jamming today as we go over and cover some of these important mistakes. I'm also going to just pull up my iPad a little bit closer so we can go ahead and share that with you guys as well. Do a little bit of drawing here. I find it kind of helps to direct our focus as it relates to what these mistakes are and how they may be. So maybe what we can do, if you guys have any questions, just pop them in the comment section there. I will definitely see them. And also let me know what are some of your guesses as it relates to what some of the mistakes are that we as worship guitarists can tend to make. Let me know about all of that, and then we're going to go ahead and dive into the lesson. All right, so I will not be able to pronounce that name, but someone tuning in from Australia, so it's quite late there. welcome. This morning we had a stream for our Australian members a little bit earlier, so great for you to tune in so late. Brian is saying, sounds good to me. Larry saying, sounds good. And Vicky DeMeo saying, sounds good here. All right, so when it comes to anything in life that you do, it's important for you to kind of have an awareness of what some common mistakes are that we can tend to make. And that is what I want to cover today, specifically as it relates to worship guitar playing. Now, we do oftentimes get people that watch our videos that not quite familiar what worship guitar is, but obviously for us, worship guitar relates to playing guitar in worship teams when we are coming together to worship the Lord in a corporate setting. So we are going to be drawing our attention to that from that point of view as it relates to what those mistakes might be. So if there's any guesses, let me know in the comment section below. I know that we are and I'm going to go in and get started here. So if there's any guesses to what those mistakes might be, I'm really keen to hear what that is from your point of view. But the first and obvious mistake, and that actually is not just a worship guitar mistake, it's actually just a guitar mistake in general. So this is one of those that is definitely going to be a general mistake that we all fall prey to. And that is the mistake of overplaying. You know what? I have been playing guitar for a couple of decades. I've been playing in worship teams for a couple of decades. And I still make this mistake because, it's easy to play a lot. So Brian actually had that. I know we had a bit of a delay there. So Brian is saying playing too much. So definitely that is something that we can, that we need to be aware of. Because sometimes in the heat of the moment, we are not always too aware of that. And that's what I want to go ahead and just talk about. I remember years ago when I lived in London, I worked for, I started doing some work for a guitar magazine, Guitar Techniques magazine. And that was actually the magazine that I used to read as a kid when I grew up, because we didn't have a guitar teacher in the town that I lived. And I basically learned from these magazines, which I had a friend, whenever he traveled to a big city, he would buy the magazines for me and then he would bring them to me. So then many years after that, I ended up moving to London and I met some of the people from the magazine, and lo and behold, I got my first opportunity to go and interview a famous guitar player. Then I would interview him, I would film the lesson, I would write about the lesson, and I would transcribe what the guitarist played so that that can become an article. And if you're familiar with that magazine, you'll know the format. Now, back then, it was the first time that I was actually going to go ahead and meet a guitar player of that nature. And I was so nervous. I didn't know, what am I going to say? What can I talk about? How am I going to just kind of carry myself? Because I was, like all things, you don't know what to expect. And then your mind kind of plays tricks on me. And one of my thoughts was, what am I going to ask him? Am I going to be able to have good questions that will lead to a good recording and a good lesson for the magazine and so forth? And I was just really nervous about what I was going to say. And then when I got to the interview, thankfully everything went well. But there was one thing that in retrospect I would have changed, and that is I would have spoken less, right? Because I wanted the guy who I was interviewing, his name was Alex Skolnick. He was playing for the Trans-Siberian Orchestra and a couple of bands like that. But I was so nervous that I spoke so much. I kept talking the whole time. And then afterwards I realized, shucks, I should have spoken less during the interview. Now it's the same for us with guitar. When we are standing on stage, the congregation might be there, whether you know the songs well or not, whether they've just made a last-minute key change, whether it was a song that you got added to the set list last minute. There might be some of that nerves and anxiety, and then our natural approach is as soon as we start playing, we just tend to overplay, because that is the way that we are going to go ahead and kind of deal with that. So what I want to show you is just a couple of pointers as it relates to overplaying in terms of what you can do. The best antidote for this, and as I just go ahead and change the scene for us here, the best antidote for that is the following, is you want to look at serving the song. All right, when you make that your focus, serving the song and not necessarily just playing whatever comes to mind, then that kind of changes everything in a massive way. So if this is the mistake, the solution is learning to serve the song. And it's not about the way you do that. It's not about the individual parts, but it's about how that's going to be perceived together with the rest of the band, right? And you need to do that by listening to what is going on. What is the vocals doing? What is the bass player playing? What is the drums playing? What is, if there's another guitarist, what are they playing? So it's very important to listen to the other musicians and then really focus on simplicity as and just zoom in here, and I'll just give you those 3 tips, right? It's about the collective sound as the whole band, and it's not an individual sound as a guitar player. Number 2, you want to practice what we call active listening. Sometimes I did not practice active listening during that interview because I was so nervous. I just kept, talking the whole time. So I could have used active listening in that case. And then the other thing is you want to go ahead and embrace simplicity. You don't have to play tricky parts to go ahead and get. You are going to listen to what the rest of the band is doing, and you understand it's about the collective sound. And if you're going to be practicing active listening, and then you can just play simple parts that will go ahead and have a real big impact on the playing over there. So I'm going to go ahead and just give you a couple of examples of what this might be. And I could even, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play along with some other tracks in a minute. So I'll go ahead and just fire up one of our backing tracks here. And I'm just going to show you from a very simplistic point of view, less is more. I'm going to have that approach. And we've got Caster Viking saying, "Hey, Charles, how are you? I'm doing great, my man. Awesome to see you on the stream. Welcome, welcome." So let's go ahead. I am going to have the less is more approach with this track. We'll do this one track and then we'll take another track and it's got 4 chords, but this is a 1-4 chord progression. Focusing less is more. So I'm not even playing, I'm just listening. And now I might come in. Lots of space, right? Right, so that's just a couple of examples to show you that you can have a less is more approach, and you do this when you can listen. That active listening, you are going to hear these pockets that you can fill as a guitar player. And so you need to also understand, what is your role? Are you the only guitarist? We really need to drive the song, or are you kind of playing a role like I've just done, where you are bringing different emotions and different textures to the mix in that regard? So that's our first thing. Hopefully next time when you go on stage, try and remember these 3 points, which is serve the song, focus on the collective sound, listen actively, pay attention to what's going on around you, and then use simple parts to face or to go ahead and bring in all of your different elements. So any guesses for the second or for another mistake, you feel free to throw those in, and then I'm going to go ahead, and I know we've got a bit of a delay, so I'll go ahead and start writing out the second mistake that guitar players tend to make. And that is, all right, let me just change the pen there. The second mistake is all about poor dynamics control. So I'm just going to write poor dynamics. And poor dynamics, if you think about the guitar, right? The guitar's got a massive dynamic range. And I can maybe just demonstrate a little bit of that for you right now. So I can go ahead and let's go to this scene over here. I can have a very simple clean sound that I can swell in like this. It's super gentle. I could even go ahead and go even more gentle than that. I can do something like this. Alright, so that's kind of like a warm blanket sound, right? Super delicate, super gentle. But then at the same time, I can also go. So I can really kind of make the guitar wail in that regard, which is the exact opposite of what I've just done with. So can you see what I'm saying? Between those two things that I've just played is a massive dynamic range. Now, in worship, you are going to play a lot with an overdriven sound, and if you don't have control over your dynamics, it's going to be hard for you to really play and dig into your playing, because you're going to be scared that what if you play some wrong notes in a delicate moment in church, because it's not like you're playing at a rowdy pub, where everyone is talking and being loud. In a church service, we want to be aware of what's going on, and we don't want to play the wrong thing at the wrong time, because that can really steal from the moment there. So as it relates to that, let's go ahead and look at what are some solutions as it relates to the poor dynamics. So the first thing is you just want to develop your awareness, your dynamic awareness and control. So I'm going to say your awareness and control. What does that mean? Well, the first part of this is understanding just what parts require you to play what kind of things on the guitar there. And then your control is looking at, okay, great, how can I develop my dynamic control in that regard, so that I can get something that is going to sound good. So that's your control. So how do you control the dynamics on the guitar? Well, there's many different ways to do that. I'm going to go ahead and just zoom in here again for our 3 pointers here. Is you want to use volume swells where possible, because that's going to be a really gentle way to introduce any of the melodies that you can go ahead and do. Then you want to also vary your picking techniques. You've got very different sounds available when you know how to use different picking techniques. I'm going to show you some of those shortly. And then finally is you want to adjust your playing to the part or the style of the song, right? So that it matches the different parts of the song. So, for example, if it's a big section, then it's totally cool for you to go ahead and whip out a big power chord and make it ring, or whatever the case may be. Or when it's a gentle section, you want to use volume swells. And depending on the kind of sound you're looking for, you might want to experiment with those picking patterns. So let's go ahead and look at each one of those real quick. So the dynamics control that we've just spoken about is the volume swells. I'm going to go ahead and pull up a song real quick. A song that I learned last night. We played it before at one of our services, but I'm playing on Sunday. So it's a song called No One Like the Lord. So let me just pull that up on my set list here real quick, and then I'm going to show you how I can use some of these different dynamic things real quick. All right, so that is wrong date. Sorry, let's get the right date. Okay, that's on Sunday is the 4th. So this song is called No One Like the Lord. This is a live version. And I'm just going to jam along to this real quick. And let's just make sure that my Bluetooth is going to come through loud and clear. All right. So this song, let's just imagine, I'm not going to demo a lot of parts right now. I'm just going to demo dynamic playing and where I want to try and go ahead and just adapt my playing to the song. All right. So just lagging a little bit there for the thing to load. Hopefully it's going to be there shortly. And this song is in the key of E. And let me go ahead and play the original song for us. Reference. Let's see if that plays. So I'm just going to listen. All right, so here we go. Swells, right? The first thing we spoke about just now. And now I'm going to start using different picking techniques. The second point we had. Hybrid picking. Pick and fingers. And over here, I'm going to play the melody for the different part of the song. Different picking. Now I'm gonna strum. Change to melody. And the song is building here, so I can listen to that. Now I can go back to the melody. I bring the dynamics down. Put it right back. Different dynamics, right? Can add a few more layers here. And now it's going to start building. One last build before it's going to go bigger. And now we're back into that bridge. Alright, so I'm just having a jam on the song. I probably made our first mistake there of overplaying, but I did that for some teaching purposes, just to show you how I can alter my dynamics with soft, gentle swells at certain times, and at other times big strumming chords, and kind of going for it in that regard. So very important for you to be able to alter your dynamics as you play. And if you go back to the iPad here real quick, I can show you the 3 techniques that you want to use in that regard, which is using volume swells. You saw me use that a lot in my playing just now. Let's see why that is not showing. It should hopefully come back. Okay, there we go. Fantastic. So volume swells, that allows you to play some cool melodies without being in your face. The picking techniques that I used, let me break those down for you, is soft and gentle hybrid picking, where I have my pick on the low string and my middle finger on the higher string. So for example, you see that kind of, it's soft and gentle, right? And it's 2 different sounds. I've got the sound of the pick and I've got the sound of my finger. All right. The other times I play just downstrokes. In fact, that was a polyrhythmic pattern there where I used downstrokes and upstrokes, where I played power chords, octaves. You know, the downstrokes thing I did in the melody. Okay, so that's overplaying over there, right? But the point is, I'm adjusting my picking techniques to fit the different parts of the song that I'm playing through the use of strumming, with string muting, through single string picking with downstrokes only, to strumming chords to palm mutes to playing melodies and everything in between. So that's a couple of things that you can practice and just kind of get used to your dynamic control as it relates to what you can do in that regard. So a couple of questions came in. A comment, Jetro saying, can't stop noticing how beautiful your guitar is. Thanks, Jetro. I like it a lot myself. It's my green machine over here. So Costa is asking, what was the song called? I'm going to look it up after the stream to play. This song is called There's No One Like the Lord. I think another version of it might be We Crown You King of Glory. No One Like the Lord is the name of the song. So, that's the name of the song over there. And then Jetro is saying, I love what you did to the melody part. Is there a specific scenario when I can do it? Because I feel me and the vocals are going to fight in terms of volume and exposure, etc. So that's a great question, Jetro. When you develop a way to play more melodically on the guitar, and not necessarily just melodically, but to play, to emulate the human voice so that it sounds like you're singing, then there's a right way to play the guitar with the vocal where you don't get in the way, and then there's a wrong way to do that as well. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you think about like Bessel, their guitar parts don't really play a lot of the like lead guitar melodies and so forth. Like the thing that I played, they would have done a more subdued version, but they've got typically a violin player or a cellist where they play more single lines and so forth together with the vocalist. And obviously in their case, they are very well trained in kind of getting that vocal-like quality with the vibrato and the phrasing, hammer-ons, pull-offs, slides, all that kind of stuff to get a vocal quality. So when I play at my church, I tend to play a lot more melody than just chords, and sometimes I join chords and melody together. But what I do is I try and, if you think of a backing vocalist, if the backing vocalist is going to sing with a singer, there's also a right way and a wrong way to do that. The wrong way is to fight with a singer, and that's kind of the words we use there, where both things are like, should I listen to that person or should I listen to that person? Well, the goal is to find the blend. That's when backing vocals sound really cool. And that's when the guitar, together with the vocal, sounds cool, when you can find that blend. Because now we are singing together, and I am really supporting that vocal a lot. So I do that with, like, for example, if I just play, I wouldn't play... You see, that is very heavy-handed. Instead, I'm doing stuff more like... So I only had 3 notes that I picked. The rest of the notes I sounded with my hammer-ons and pull-offs. So you can hear I don't pick all of the notes. I either swell to get rid of the attack, or I use hammer-ons and pull-offs and slides. So it's a great question, Jetro. I would say try and focus on a way where you can get your guitar to sound more vocal-like, and you do that with articulation, hammer-ons, pull-offs, slides, vibrato, and just go and take melodies of songs and see if you can play them. For example, let me give you another example here real quick. I'm going to go ahead and go to The Victory Is Yours, which is another great song. And I play the melody for the chorus, but not from a lead guitar point of view. I play it with what we call 4/2 voicing. So let me just get my tuning sorted. I've got new strings on here real quick, and I'll show you how I can play that melody. So I had another question which I'll read before I play here, which is related to this. So Monkey is asking, any tips to find those vocal melodies? That's the first thing, is just literally learning to the songs and trying to find those melodies. So it's by listening, again, active listening, and then just finding it on the guitar. So if I go to this song and let's go ahead and play it.
Our fight is with weapons unseen.
So I might just do my swells.
Your enemies crash to the earth as we rise up and worship.
Again, just swells.
And trials unleashed like a flood. The battle belongs to us as we cry out and worship.
And here's the melody, which I'll just jam along real quick. Play the melody with the vocals, right? And now you can do something like this, up the octave. Chorus. So hopefully that gives you a couple of ideas. I go and look for the melody. So if I hear the chorus goes like this. Then I can add chords. Also, the other song, you know, if you just find the melodies by listening to the song, and then you can use the 4/2 voicings, which we teach a lot on the channel, to try and find those vocal melodies. So hopefully that works. And the best advice I can give you is learn to play the melody. Use articulation to emulate a human voice. Don't pick every note, because that's going to be too much attack on the guitar. And try and get a blend between your guitar sound, the way you're playing and the way you're phrasing, to blend with the vocals. Then, because then you're singing on a guitar and you are serving the song, and that works really well. So that's my advice for that. And Jethro is saying, I see now. And he says, I think it also makes the vocals thicker. It emphasizes the melody of the vocals. Yeah, that happens a lot. So the guitar brings a different dynamic range to the mix, which you don't tend to have when you just play the, you just sing the vocals or the melodies on their own. So that is definitely the case. And sometimes, this is not something I would recommend without practice, but sometimes the vocals, they're singing one song and then I start playing the melody of another song. And then sometimes they hear it and then they move over to that song as kind of a medley vibe. Or sometimes it's just, some of these melodies blend so well together because it's the same chord progressions. It's the Yeah, so that's kind of a thing that I do there. And John was saying, yeah, that was a great question. So thanks for asking. And John's asking, if you have time, is there a pedal less than $100 that can help us keep better time? We don't have a drummer or bass. Thanks. Sure. I'm not 100% sure, but I know that I would have to do a bit of research to properly answer that question. But I think there's an app called like Playback, and you can get drums and stuff like that for playback, and then you can go ahead and load up tracks in there, and then you can switch between sections and so forth, whether you use Ableton or Playback. But yeah, if you need Ableton, then obviously you're going to need a computer and all those kind of things, whereas Playback can work on the on an iPad. So if you're doing a song that is big, and you're saying you don't have a drummer or bass, let's just say you do a song like This Is Amazing Grace, or it's a praise song where you want all of that, you can get the app. I forget what the subscription is per month, maybe like $10 or something, and then you can either rent tracks from Multitracks, or you can buy tracks. And if you buy or rent the tracks, you can go ahead and load up the full song into Playback, and then you can say mute the vocals, mute the guitar, mute the keys, but let's play the drums and let's play the bass. So it's like Multitracks that they have that for Playback. That's what I would use, because that's the only thing that I've had experience with. I know some people like Ableton and those kind of things, but you can buy these stems. And then also, you can also, depending on what you're looking for the song, you can have even pre-programmed grooves and whatnot to play with. Those tend to not go all so well always, because now when you're playing live, it's kind of like you want more freedom. Whereas if you go with a multi-track section or Playback, you can also jam between different sections. You can say, let's repeat the chorus one more time, or let's jump to the next bridge. So while you are playing, you can make those changes. So I'll see if I can do some more training on those, but I'd have to just kind of dive into that a little bit deeper myself. And then Larry's saying, how does having two volume controls influence which pickup setting you gravitate to? So on my guitar, it's not like, I think like a Les Paul, you have two volume controls. I just have one volume control, and then this here is a tone control. So I just have the one. I also have a pedal on the floor, which I sometimes use, but not always. But if you have two different volumes, then obviously, depending if you're combining the pickup configurations, then one of the pickups is not going to come to the forefront as much. So I'd like to play with a full volume, unless I use volume swells. Then I might go ahead and back down my volume a little bit to clean up the sound and so forth. Because like if you listen to this, it's going to be quite dirty, as I'm going to play this now. But if I turn my volume down a little bit, I can clean it up. So that's one way, Larry, that it would affect the pickups is if it's not full volume, it's going to clean it up a little bit, and it's not going to drive your amp or your pedal so hard. So hopefully that's useful there. Thanks for asking. And then, Monkey was saying the Soundbrenner watch might be helpful to keep time. Oh, if that's something for yourself. So yeah, I've not used that before, but thanks for that recommendation. And Retro D is saying, bless you, Charles. Your live stream always pop up when I need you. Thank you. That's awesome. I'm really happy to hear that. And I'm stoked to be able to share all these tips with you guys. And I'll quickly just go through the last three mistakes, because I know we spent more time on those first two, which is overplaying and poor dynamics control. The third mistake, we kind of covered that now, and that is for us as guitarists, focusing more on learning the chords, but not learning the melody. And the word says, sing unto the Lord a new song, right? And play melodies on your instruments. There's many scriptures that talks about us playing melodies on the instrument. So learn the melodies of the song so that you can sing the song on your instrument without your voice, treating your instrument like a voice. And even the drums can be treated like, in that regard, as a voice, as something that is bringing an emotion, that's kind of telling a story. So I would recommend learning melodies on the guitar. And you saw me played The Victory Is Yours, I played now, and then No One Like the Lord, I played that melody as well. If played well in terms of like using articulation and being sensitive and those kind of things, it really adds another dimension. So that's the third mistake, is not learning melodies of songs. Also, when you learn the melodies, you're going to start to see, oh, great, they're starting on the third, and then they're going down to the fifth, or of another chord, for example. Whatever the case would be, you can start to see how the single notes work together with chords like that. If I just play... But then if I add in chords, it just adds another, it helps you to see the song in a different way, in which you haven't seen it before when you learn the melody. So that's the third mistake. The fourth mistake, we cover that on the channel always, and that is you don't need to play the full version, the full voicings of chords, right? You can have 2 notes, 3 notes, or just the 4 notes, or just even 1 note. Play chord fragments. These little mini chords, we call them 4/2s, which is a dyad on the guitar. And then that's going to really cut through the mix a lot more, because if I had to play, like if you go and learn jazz chord melody, it's big chords and so forth, but it's not really possible for that to cut through the mix. So that's the fourth mistake. And then the fifth mistake is for prep time. People tend to, if they have to learn 4 songs, they put 4 songs on from start to finish, start to finish, start to finish, and they try and learn the songs like that. Instead, what you need to do is listen to the songs and then kind of make a note. Where is there a lead guitar part that stands out? Or where is there a tricky part that you need to work on some dynamics? Isolate those key sections of the song so you can spend more time on those, because for the rest of the time, the songs are pretty much the same, right? Pretty much the same. So that's our fifth mistake. So number 1, overplaying. Number 2, not having dynamics and dynamic control. Number 3, not learning melodies of songs. Number 4, playing chord voicings that are too big, use smaller chord voicings. And number 5, not focusing on those key sections of the songs, which is very, very important. So a couple of last questions, which I'll do for us before we wrap. So Monkey's asking, why do we call it the 4/2? You know what, that's just my name for it, because I'm playing on the 4th string. So if I do the 4th string and then the 2nd string, so that's a 4/2, nothing to do with degrees, just the strings. G, C, E minor, and D. So we've got tons of videos on the channel talking about the 4/2s. It's basically a triad on string set 2, 3, and 4, but I remove that 3rd string. So we've got tons of those talking about that. And Caster is asking, I can play multiple chord shapes, 4/2 voicing sets, etc. on a guitar, but I just remember them as shapes and where things are compared to other chords. Is it possible to memorize all the single notes on a fretboard and with that knowledge build your own chords and voicings? If so, how can I learn that? It's definitely possible to memorize them. The main thing is just to check out that. Let me give you an example. If I play a D chord like this, then this is an A note. All right? That's an A note. But if I have that same A note over a G chord, it's the same note, it's an A note, but over D, it's the 5th, and over G, it's the ninth. So the same note actually changes based on the underlying chord. And that's why when you learn the notes on the guitar, it's important not just to learn the notes by themselves, but learn the relationship to the chord. Like if you play a G chord, you can play G, B, or D. G is the root, B is the third, D is the fifth. Now if I do an E minor, G, B, D, then the G is no longer the root, it's the flat third, the B is the fifth, and the D is the flat seven. So the notes stay on the same place in the guitar, it stays an A, a B, a C, whatever the note name is, but the relationship changes to the chord. So that is chord construction. Costa, we have some videos on the channel that deals with theory, and so if you just search for anything to do with theory or whatever the case may be, then you'd be able to find some of that. So go ahead and check it out. But for anybody on the stream, learn your neck, learn the names of the notes, but also learn the relationship to the chord when you learn the notes. And then we'll end off with this one. Other members of my band are not as skilled or as playing as myself. Do you have some tips on how I can support any kind and kind of pull the other members with me? Yeah, that's the thing with churches, right? So a lot of churches, well, most churches, for that part, use volunteers, whether it's on the sound, whether it is in the band, whatever the case may be. So people are going to be at different levels of experience and so forth. It's important to know the basics. So if you have another guitarist that, and let's just say you know the natural numbering system, but the other guitarist doesn't, maybe get together and focus on some of those basic musical elements. Same for the keyboard player or whatever the case may be, just to kind of get through and do a little bit of study together. Some theory or chords or harmony or whatever the case may be. That will really help you a lot. And then the second thing, and this is actually more important, is if you have a good relationship with the rest of the band, like, going out for a coffee or, seeing the members in your band that you play with often. I know I for sure have that. People that I play with in the band, I don't just see them at rehearsal. I see them in other parts of my life. We go and have a coffee, we get together, whatever the case may be. When there's that relational connection between us as brothers and sisters in Christ, when we get to play together on a Sunday where it talks about one can put 1,000 to flight, but two can put 10,000, or it says God commands a blessing with his unity, or it says where 2 or 3 of you gather in my name, there I am. There's a big focus on getting together and the corporate worship. So a lot of times as musicians, we can become very task-focused, kind of like Martha in the Bible. We just want to get the job done. But if you look at Mary that hung out with Jesus, she was relationally driven. That's very important for us to gather to seek the Lord, but also to be relationally driven with each other, to connect with the people that you play with, so that it's not just on a Sunday that you play together, because then that relational depth will change the way that you play together, and it will therefore change the result. So work on some of the basics as it relates to some theory and whatever the case may be, so you can learn the language together. Number 2, build that relational connection with your band members as much as possible. Obviously, you don't have to, be best friends with everybody, but just try and see each other and not just on Sunday and get some relational connection there. And then together seek the Lord and trust God to use you. Yes, he'll use your ability, but he'll use your availability and your desire to see his kingdom come, your desire to serve each other, your desire to minister to him and to express your love to him. God can do way more with a willing heart than with somebody who's got great skill and ability, but the heart is not quite there. So it's not just one of these things, but those are a couple of things together that we can do to together make a real difference and an impact with other opportunities and skills, gifts, and talents that have been entrusted to us. So hopefully that's useful. Thanks for asking that, Costa. And then Victor, he says, good morning from Lima, Peru. We are just about to end, but the good news is you'll be able to watch the replay, so feel free to pull that up. And then Monkey is asking, it says, thanks for the live stream. How often do you stream? Would love to catch the next one. We do it once every Friday, but we alternate the times at this stage. So next week, Friday, will be 5 hours earlier for our friends in Australia and Asia and those parts of the world, and also Europe. So, and then the following Friday, which is like today, is at 4 p.m. our time, 9 a.m. I believe Eastern Standard. So we do them every week, but we just alternate them. And let's just see if I can do this, because some of you guys, if you go to thatworshipguitarshow.com, you can sign up on our mailing list. And I think if you go to worshipguitarchallenge.com, you can also go ahead and sign up for a 7-day challenge that we run. It's only $7, but you can sign up there, or just go to worshipguitarskills.com, join our mailing list, and we'll send out emails whenever we are running episodes like this. So great question. Thank you for asking. Much love to you guys. We're 6 minutes past the hour, started a little bit late, but it's really great to see all the familiar faces. I want to honor you guys for putting in the work, time and effort to improve your skills, your gifts, and your ability, and to be good stewards with what God has entrusted you with, so that you can play skillfully on the strings as the word encourages us to do. So we'll definitely go ahead and catch you guys next time. So Vic Costa saying, thanks a lot, man, and hopefully till next week. Yep. And then Edwin is asking, can we explain diminished chords next time? Definitely. We can. I'll make a point of that. We'll do that. And then Arun is saying hi from India. And Vicky is helping us out with the times. Yes, you're right, Vicky. It's the times, if you're in the US, 1 week is at 5 a.m. Eastern, and the next week is at 10 a.m. Eastern. So there's that 5 hours difference. But the good news is, if you can't make it live, you can catch the replays. We've got a bunch of them, and every week on Tuesdays, we also publish a new video. So I'd encourage you to go and check out this past Tuesday's video. It's all about dyads, showing you tenths, 4/2s, octaves, and power chords, and also strings 1 and 2. I can play some chords to help you with that third mistake, where people play voicings or that are too big. All right. Awesome. Much love to everybody. Stay safe and have a great weekend. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. If we can help you in any way, shape, or form, feel free to reach out anytime. And Larry's saying thanks. See you all next time. Bye-bye, guys. Have a good one.